that.
What's the first thing you plan to do?
Go hug my son.
Mr. Govan, you haven't smiled all this week, but obviously you have a lot to smile about. Just tell me just about what you're feeling in right now.
Like I said, it's kind of hard to explain the feeling of getting your life back.
Well, I feel like, man, whatever you do wrong must come back around in a circle. Just like you know what I'm talking about? If you did wrong and everybody know it's blatant, the truth is out in the open. You sent that type of energy towards the young Dolph way, and you got no young Dolph knocked off. I talked to Govan. I did an interview with Hernandez Govan, the dude who said the whole supposedly, you know what I'm saying, Dolph.
It looks like CMG is straight up crumbling right in front of us. For years, people whispered about cracks in Yo Gotti's empire, but those whispers just turned into sirens blasting through the industry. Stan G, one of the most connected voices out of Memphis, went on No Jumper and dropped a bombshell that shook everybody listening. He basically said out loud what most were too scared to whisper. Yo Gotti might actually line up his own artist, Black Youngsta. And let's be real, this isn't coming from trolls online. This is Stan G, a man who's been face-to-face with the streets, who sat down with the very people tied to the Young Dolph case. That's why this hit different. It sounds less like gossip and more like a deadly warning. When Stan G sat down on No Jumper, he didn't sugarcoat a single word. He flat out said it. The same energy Yo Gotti put on Young Dolph is what got him killed. And if Gotti could go that far with an enemy, what makes anyone think he wouldn't do the same to somebody in his own camp if the money, loyalty, or secrets get messy? That's the type of chilling question that has fans rethinking everything they thought they knew about CMG. Stan G went even deeper, saying Black Youngsta was basically Gotti's send. The guy he pushed into doing the reckless moves, starting beefs, and dropping those wild videos that other rappers wouldn't even touch. Stan G wasn't just talking, he was sending a flat-out warning. His message couldn't have been clearer. Watch your back. He even reminded everyone that whatever energy you put out into the world, it always circles back. And right now, with the way Gotti moves, Black Youngsta's so-called loyalty might be the very thing that puts him in danger. That's when the picture starts looking real shaky. For a long stretch, CMG looked untouchable. Yo Gotti had the dream roster, Moneybag. Yo was running up numbers, Black Youngsta kept the label buzzing with wild antics, and then came Glorilla, blowing up almost overnight like a superstar nobody saw coming. From the outside, it looked like one big family winning together, backing each other up with no cracks in sight. But now, that picture is fading fast. Moneybag's buzz has cooled down, Youngsta doesn't bring the same reckless energy he once did, and Gotti looks locked in only on Glorilla, and even she's under insane pressure since she's the only one really carrying CMG right now. Instead of family goals, it feels more like a survival game. Who's actually safe in this camp? Then came the biggest red flag. Youngsta started scrubbing CMG out of his bio, dropping captions that felt like subliminal shots. And right after that, Stan G stepped in with his warning, turning whispers into alarm bells. That's when people stopped laughing it off as trolling. It started to look like something deadly serious was brewing behind the scenes. This is where it all really started. Years back, Yo Gotti tried to sign Young Dolph, but Dolph wasn't having it. He turned him down flat. And from that moment, everything flipped. Gotti didn't just move on, he started blocking Dolph, trying to slow down his career. But instead of stopping him, it only made Dolph shine brighter, and that's when the tension turned into all-out war. Diss tracks, public shots, and real street energy started flying, and guess who was right there on the front line? Black Youngsta. He wasn't just rapping about beef, he was literally pulling up in neighborhoods, dropping wild videos, and doing things most rappers wouldn't even think about doing. At the time, some fans thought it was just part of his crazy image, but looking back now, it was way too reckless. Even Stan G called it a federal move, because Youngsta was putting himself in situations that could only bring dangerous heat back on him and the whole CMG crew. So when Dolph was murdered in Memphis, every eye in the city and the industry turned straight to CMG. Even though nothing was proven directly against Gotti or Youngsta, the streets already made their decision. And once people connect your name to something that heavy, it never washes off. That's the shadow hanging over CMG today, the kind of stain money and power can't fully erase. And it's also why Black Youngsta doesn't look like an asset anymore. He looks like a walking reminder of everything the label wants to run from, but can't escape. Whenever Yo Gotti needed the energy turned up, Black Youngsta was always right there, loud, reckless, and loyal. Fans saw him as the soldier of CMG, the one who would ride for the team no matter what. But Stan G saw it differently. In his eyes, Youngsta wasn't showing loyalty. He was being used. Stan straight up called him one of the biggest sendouts in Memphis, basically saying Gotti kept sending Youngsta to handle the dirty work, stir up beefs, and make the risky moves that Gotti himself didn't want to touch. And when you really think about it, the pattern fits perfectly. Gotti stayed the calm boss in the shadows, while Youngsta was out front wilding on camera. The problem? That role doesn't last forever. After Dolph's death, those stunts stopped looking entertaining and started looking flat-out dangerous. Instead of being CMG's spark, Youngsta became the one dragging all the baggage. Every diss, every disrespectful stunt, every reckless move, all tied directly to his name. Suddenly, the wild card became the weight, and now he's gone quiet. Stan G even said Youngsta is in hide mode because the Dolph case is still hanging heavy over his head. To the streets, that makes him look finished, and to Gotti, it makes him look like a liability. The type of artist who could bring the wrong spotlight at the absolute worst time. Right when the tension was boiling over and Stan G's warning was still ringing, Black Youngsta went online and dropped long rants that had everybody watching. And these weren't random posts. He was firing off at fake CEOs, fake big homies, and fake brothers. Now let's be real, those are titles people have thrown at Yo Gotti for years. Then Youngsta added that he was done with fake love, fake loyalty, and putting trust in the wrong people. If that ain't a shot, what is? What made it even heavier was how emotional the rants were. Youngsta wasn't clowning around. He was talking about losing friends, being alone, and admitting he could still get touched no matter how much money he had stacked up. That doesn't sound like jokes. That sounds like somebody who knows he's in danger. And the timing, too perfect to brush off. Fans were already whispering about CMG falling apart, and here's Youngsta basically confirming that everything behind the scenes is not as solid as it looks. Even if he never typed Gotti's name directly, everyone caught the message loud and clear. And here's the twist. Yo Gotti has always styled himself like a mob boss. His whole name comes from John Gotti, and he leans hard into that mafia image. So when Youngsta started calling out fake CEOs, Gotti didn't stay quiet. He clapped back in code. He dropped mafia-coded bars over Jay-Z's Dynasty intro, flexing like a boss and reminding everybody exactly who calls the shots. But in a mob-style setup, betrayal isn't just disrespect, it's a death sentence. Breaking rank doesn't end clean, and that's what makes this whole situation even scarier. And just when things couldn't get any messier, the alleged shooter in Dolph's case, Govan Hernandez, was just acquitted. And if you missed it, the footage is out there for everyone to see. Now, the last thing Yo Gotti needed in that moment was somebody from his own camp trolling about it. But that's exactly what Black Youngsta did. He dropped a video standing at a gravesite, right next to a headstone with Dolph's last name carved into it. Then he doubled down, posting wild clips online like he didn't care about the backlash at all. To Youngsta, maybe it felt like him just being himself, reckless, loud, and still loyal to CMG, showing he was ready to ride no matter what. But to Gotti, it was a nightmare for business. What used to look like loyalty now looked like recklessness that could sink the entire label. And fans caught it instantly. The same moves that once made CMG look fearless now made them look sloppy and exposed. From that point on, the cracks between Gotti and Youngsta weren't rumors anymore. They were out in the open. And let's be real, CMG doesn't look nearly as strong as it once did. Moneybags slowed down, 42 Doug is tied up in legal trouble, and Youngsta's gone silent. Even Stan G said it. Gotti can't move the way he used to, not with all the heat still clinging to him after Dolph's death. The only one still holding weight is Glorilla, but one artist alone can't hold up a whole empire. And fans know it. That's why the question has flipped from who's next to blow to who's next to fall out. And here's where it gets dangerous. Stan G reminded everybody, Gotti isn't just a rapper, he's connected. He's got ties in high places. If he wants someone's career finished, it's finished. If he wants legal problems dropped on someone, those problems can pop up out of nowhere. That's why when Youngsta shades Gotti online, it's not just rebellion, it's risky. Yo Gotti moves like the president of Memphis. He's not just a rapper, he's got money, influence, and connections that stretch way past the music game. And if this tension ever turns violent, it won't just be about rappers trading diss tracks. It could drag in families, friends, and entire crews into the crossfire. On the other side, Black Youngsta isn't built to roll over. He's reckless, emotional, and bold enough to say whatever's on his chest, no matter the consequences. That unpredictability mixed with Gotti's cold boss moves, that's a recipe for pure disaster. Fans are already nervous. Nobody wants to witness another tragedy like what went down with Young Dolph. But with Youngsta firing shots at fake CEOs and Stan G literally warning the streets that Gotti could flip on him, the writing on the wall is way too hard to ignore. If this tension doesn't get fixed fast, CMG might not just lose one artist, it could lose the entire empire it took years to build. The question isn't whether CMG is falling apart, that's already clear. The real question is, how far is Gotti willing to go to keep control? Because if Stan G's warning is on point, then Black Youngsta might not just be in label trouble. He could be standing on the edge of something way darker than music beef, something that could end everything. So what do you think? Is this the beginning of the end for CMG, or just another power play from Gotti to remind everyone who's really in charge? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.